This is Due by Friday, the weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and Max Temkin. This week's challenge, watch The Social Network. Max's assistant, Kara, has just come in.
Oh, please be coffee. Please be coffee.
Oh, I think it's coffee. Is this coffee?
Yeah, it's every hot drink on the menu. There's like a chai.
Oh my.
What's happening?
There's a lot of coffee happening. Kara, do you want to get on mic too? I'm going to see what's happening.
Oh, it's been a while since we've had a Kara visit.
I know.
Hello.
We miss Kara, don't we?
Hi, Kara.
Hi, Merlin. How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. How are you?
Good. Max told me this was a podcast-related errand, but he had me go to the new coffee shop down the street, Werewolf Coffee, and get one of every hot drink on the menu. So I just came in with
Kara, does that change the nature of how you execute your work if you know that it's podcast-related? Does that escalate it in your view?
not really.
Yeah.
I just know when it needs to be done by, and I don't ask
So he
questions.
didn't. I need to voir dire him on this when he deigns to show up. He is not the one who went in and had to do the ordering process. He turned that to you.
Yeah, just one of everything. I mean, it was a simple task, sort of, but am I staying?
Hi, Merlin.
I was just telling Alex I finally figured out why we don't have a photo why we can't find a photo of Gary. And it's been in front of me the whole time. It's so obvious. It's because Gary has concerns about his privacy. Anything, you'd have to go to DeviantArt and find what's called fan art of Gary. So I would just say to Cox's Cucks, to Powder Nation, if you wanted to do a rendering of Gary, the privacy concern clown, and share it with us on your DeviantArt site, I would be totally fine with that. Maybe he could be having intercourse with the Sailor Moon, whatever that is.
No.
Tuesday, May 9th, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer wrapped up his brief interview with Fox Business from the White House grounds late Tuesday night and then disappeared into the shadows, huddling with his staff behind a tall hedge. To get back to his office, Spicer would have to pass a swarm of reporters wanting to know why President Trump suddenly decided to fire the FBI director. After Spicer spent several minutes hidden in the bushes behind these sets, Janet Montesi, an executive assistant to the press office, emerged and told reporters that Spicer would answer some questions as long as he was not filmed doing so. Spicer then emerged. Quote, "Just turn the lights off. Turn the lights off," he ordered. "We'll take care of this. Can you just turn the lights off?" Spicer got his wish and was soon standing in near darkness between two tall scrubs with more than a dozen reporters closely gathered around him. For 10 minutes, he responded to a flurry of questions, vacillating between lighthearted asides and clear frustration with getting the same questions over and over again. I have so many theories about this. Number one...
Well, I think the tweet speaks for itself.
Number one, is Sean Spicer Gary the privacy concern clown? Is that why he's not coming out?
Shit, dog.
Well, I don't think so, because he does have two Twitter accounts where he retweets himself on both accounts. So I don't know. Maybe one of his minions. God, the poor man. Oh, not the poor man. No.
Well, okay. Let me throw this out.
I can't be empathetic with. Sean
I have
Spicer.
one other theory about this, which is this. Okay, we've established it's part of the canon of Due by Friday that Sean Spicer, he chews and then swallows an enormous amount of cinnamon gum, right? And we've basically hypothesized that he's more gum than man. You know, a lot of gum is coming in, and I don't think it's coming out. Is that why he
At a
doesn't like the
certain
lights?
at a certain point that adds a lot of flexibility, but then it becomes structurally unsound.
Right. You can go see where you want to stop is where your Mrs. Incredible. Right?
Yeah.
Because if you keep going and you keep chewing gum, you just melt. You have no bone structure.
It's not actually, I think in the literature they'll tell you it's not actually that far from got better at yoga to can't sit in big boy chair. Oh. Right? Because you don't have the
Sean Spicer
infrastructure.
had one rib removed so that
Yeah.
he could chew his own gum.
His doctor said it was perfectly fine.
Okay, but listen, do you see where I'm going with this? Because he was very concerned with having the lights on him. Do you think that maybe he melts?
I think that could be like, you know how you leave a pack of gum in your car and it gets too hot? That could be it.
I hope I haven't told this story before, but one of my most vivid childhood memories when I was very young, I had a pack of what is that gum that came in the huge cubes? It was like a watermelon gum that
Hubba
came in,
Bubba?
Well, yeah, it might have been Hubba Bubba, and it was watermelon, and it came in these huge cubes. And I left it in the car, and we went somewhere, and then we came back into the car, and I immediately put 3 huge cubes of this gum into my mouth. But sitting in the sunlight had somehow structurally compromised it, and it turned into a sweet sand. It had it didn't cohere. It just immediately disintegrated. And it just turned into this grainy watermelon powder in my mouth, and I immediately vomited.
Oh, no. I do remember that phenomenon, and it makes me now with a little bit of age on my tires, I'll bet you that vogue of gum, which I loved, Bubblicious, Bubble Yum, Hubba Bubba, all of those, Big League Chew, all of those, I'll bet you that the process of making that is not entirely different from cotton candy. I bet that's super whipped. It's basically sugar and a tangy taste whipped with air. And in the same way, think what happens when you put some cotton candy in your mouth, especially if it's sitting on a dashboard. You put that in your mouth, and then now you got a mouthful of sweet sand. Sweet sand.
Merlin, do you often keep cotton candy on your dashboard?
I wouldn't want to say.
It's happened to the best of us.
Yeah, sure. Cotton candy's such a ripoff. Ugh, don't get me started on fucking cotton candy.
Well, Jesus Christ. There's so much. I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start with all of the different follow-up that we have here. Let me start with this BuzzFeed profile of Alex Jones. Is that a good... Because this is very due by Friday. It's very relevant to our whole sort of, aesthetic.
I think many of our listeners have also read this. It's very good.
I just pulled out one little segment from this BuzzFeed piece, but it basically has to do with... There was a period in Alex Jones's history where he went from a crazy person with a local access cable show to like selling powders and sort of discovered his business model. I just wanted to read this quick excerpt from this BuzzFeed profile because I think it really does. It's sort of the superhero, our origin story of the whole powder-based economy that our podcast is based on.
That's right.
So BuzzFeed writes, as Jones's sphere of influence grew, so did his business. In 2013, the InfoWars store, which launched in 2006 selling T-shirts, Jones's documentaries, and a few prepper goods, was reborn as InfoWars Life, a one-stop shop for the modern conspiracy theorist. Each product fits cozily into the Jones narrative. Concerned that the globalist cabal put fluoride in the water to make Americans sick, InfoWars has you covered with a $14 anti-fluoride toothpaste. Worried that the government-mandated pesticides are slowly draining your vital nutrients? Pick up some Secret 12, a $29 vial of liquid B12. When the Fukushima nuclear disaster happened, Alex bought tons and tons of potassium iodide, and oh my God, did we sell that, a former employee recalled. He can sell 500 supplements in an hour, another countered. It's like QVC for conspiracy. InfoWars Life now sells a full battery of supplements purporting to solve a vast spectrum of problems, real and imagined. Items include Super Male Vitality Serum, Brain Force Plus, and Caveman, a $60 mix said to help InfoWarriors, quote, rediscover the human blueprint and experience the power of cutting-edge science.
I want Caveman. What would happen if I took Caveman?
Oh, my God. I think we just got a challenge.
The supplements, according to multiple former InfoWars employees, completely transformed Jones's burgeoning operation into a media empire. According to one former employee, Jones bragged that the InfoWars store grossed $18 million between 2012 and 2013. Another source puts that number closer to $10 million. And this was before the popularity that Jones and InfoWars enjoy today. Part of the success of the store came from Jones's ruthless deal-making. Quote, I watched him on the phone with some poor author who'd written a book Jones wanted to buy, and Alex would negotiate him down until he's making no money. Jack Blood, a former radio colleague, said. Two former employees alleged that Jones would instruct staff to find products that were failing and convince them to whittle their margins to almost nothing in exchange for the InfoWars endorsement. Quote, Alex's business model was to ensnare these companies at a low rate and lock in exclusivity, the former staffer said, noting that attaching the InfoWars brand to a product often destroyed a seller's future prospects to go mainstream. For some employees, the shift came from what they saw as a crusader journalism to content marketing for colloidal silver. It became a moral issue for me, one said. That's why I don't work there anymore.
Did either of you listen to the Stoner podcast that had the writer of this BuzzFeed article, and they talked about how he smoked weed?
What Stoner podcast?
Let's say that I enjoyed herbs and I enjoyed a well-produced podcast about them.
Is this Doug Benson's Super High Me?
No.
Is it the Joe Rogan Experience?
No. This is like an NPR, not NPR, but it's this podcast called Stoner. A bunch of people sent it to us, and he, I forget the writer's name, who was covering Alex Jones's trial, talked about the whole thing, how Alex Jones says like once a year he smokes weed, and he was on Joe Rogan's podcast smoking weed, and his wife was like, that's why he's a bad dad. And then he gets on the stand though and talks about, well,
I'm sorry. Wait. Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan's podcast smoking weed?
Yes, like years and years ago. Let me see, Joe.
Oh my God.
And
this is episode 6. Charlie Wartzel discusses shocking weed revelations from Alex Jones's custody hearings. It's in notes.
And if you are looking to see the Joe Rogan Experience, the episode is the episode is 911.
I'll say there is something to the Alex Jones sort of message that George Soros is making the marijuana too powerful. Because when we go to when we were in San Francisco, we had some of the guys have medical cards, so we had like a weed delivery service come and bring us some weed, and it's astounding. I mean, it's
shocking.
Unbelievable.
Just shocking.
It's a different drug than I'm sort of accustomed to.
When I was younger, I mean, you would buy a bag, like a quarter ounce of shake for like, $20-$30. Eventually you could get nicer.
What does that mean? Is that?
Oh, sorry. That's probably an old time term. It was not Sweet Buds.
Okay.
It was,
the kids are all hacking their vape rigs to be low ohm so that they can do huge dabs.
Oh, is that? I know about dabbing. So anyway,
when I watch old stoner things, like when I watch Cheech and Chong, they're always smoking a joint the size of my forearm, and I'm like, how is that physically possible?
Well, this is the thing. That's the shake weed promise. And so eventually it got to where, like when I was in college, you drop $45 in American on a quarter ounce of pretty good bud. Now the thing was, then you would hear about something people would call it the one-hit shit. And that would be this crazy kind of marijuana that you would put into your personal bong. And yeah, I've had bongs. Oh. And you would smoke it, and really one hit of that was enough. But that was really more of a serving suggestion, like on your Stouffer's box. You could have 4 and you'd be fine. The stuff you're talking about, Max, isn't this kind of the real deal? Like you do not want like 6 hits of this?
It was oh no. It was like a sticky, hairy, like alien plant. Like it was all like red and purple. Like it was not recognizably.
Max, did you have popcorn nugs by any chance?
Marijuana. Oh, they were huge, dank nugs. I mean, it smelled. It was wrapped in 5 layers of plastic, and it smelled like a fucking Christmas tree was being delivered. And it's in terms of like one hit shit. It was like I took one hit and I was like, I'm not well. I need to go lie down. Like I just realized that all money is like a social illusion.
Wow.
All right. So
what are you laughing about, Cox? What's so funny? What's so goddamn funny to you?
I just like, knowing
Popcorn
that one
nugs?
of my childhood heroes has had bongs. I've never owned a bong.
I had an excellent bong and someone borrowed it and never brought it back. They broke it. They didn't want to tell me. It broke my heart. It was an ergonomic bong that you could easily hold in a hand. It had a hand grip. It's an amazing bong.
Can I ask, how often did you clean the bong?
Oh, I had people for that.
Okay.
There's always a guy.
Okay.
There's always a guy who wants to clean your bong because he gets the free resin.
He gets the resin. Yeah, God,
resin.
What a life that is. If that's your thing, is like. And they always have a
You're
lot
like
of
some
notes
kind of
like,
marijuana
dude, you're not just gonna throw that out, are you? It's got,
I'll have it.
yeah, there's a 32nd of a gram of resin in there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're like the freaking vegan version of the marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, speaking of one-hit shit, I have massive, unprecedented amounts of follow-up on the coffee challenge to go over. And I just want to state before we get into this that I've never been less interested in talking about anything in my life. And I made a huge mistake asking people for any information about coffee and any opinions.
You know what? That's on us, Max. We should have warned you not to ask for help with this. I'm sorry we didn't get in front of that.
Thank you for owning that. Well,
Yeah.
So what I've done, so I have a couple things. I do have some helpful follow-up to share, and I've learned some information that we'll get into. But also, sitting in front of me are 9 different drinks from the local coffee bar, Werewolf Coffee. I've got one of everything. Well, I didn't get it. My assistant Kara got it. I was too humiliated.
Kara.
I was not going to walk in there and say, please give me one of everything. How did you do this? Did you ask for one of everything?
Yeah.
Or did you play it off like you were getting... Like you had an order. Like I would have gone in and be like, I got an order for the whole office here. Like I would have come up with a narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I just said one of every hot drink on the menu, and then they asked why, and
What'd you say?
I said that my boss asked for it. I don't know what he plans to do.
Oh, God,
that's so weird.
That's such a bad out.
They don't know who you are. It's okay.
No, you say you're getting it for the whole office.
I would have gone in there with a list like I was ordering donuts. I'd be like, and then I'd make it up. I'd be like, give me one of those, and one of those, and one of those. And they'd be like, well, that's one of everything on the menu. I'm like, I guess it is.
So how did you get the drinks back here?
Mac, this amazing barista at Werewolf Coffee, drove me back here. Like she insisted, and
No.
yeah.
They're onto us.
Yeah.
You've given too much
Yeah.
away.
Oh, no, yeah.
You're going to have to cut her name out because of concerns about privacy. For sure. You shouldn't mention the name of your barista.
Oh, my God.
Cut it out,
How much
then.
do you tip for that?
I gave him a 20% tip.
That's good.
Yeah,
I feel like
it
you
wasn't
earn
my
more.
money, so.
That's like plus an Uber ride, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Did you say where you worked?
She already knew Lauren though. So
Okay.
she,
Of course.
she's
Yeah, they
familiar.
know. We spend more time working there than we do at our own office now,
Yep.
so they know us. And there's a very good Bernese Mountain Dog that hangs out there. Have you met? And his name is Elston. Have you met the dog Elston?
No, I've seen pictures.
That
Elsa
is
was
a
out
very
there.
good kind of dog.
It's a. I'm glad I don't own it because I think that thing. I mean, talk about a one-hit shit. I feel like I feel like that dog would shit, and there would be like a tremor, like an earthquake when it.
You'd have to go
ground.
over and knock it over to reestablish dominance. I think it's a lot like having a unicycle or a child, where like you're just good to borrow somebody else's sometimes.
Yeah, it's like a boat. It's like I'm
It's
glad
a boat or a Béarnaise. Yeah.
I'm glad that I get to pet that Bernese Mountain Dog and not own my own. All right. Well, I guess so. Let me share the coffee knowledge that I've learned. So essentially, what makes the cappuccino? So the place that I really like, it's called Buzzkiller Espresso in the Bucktown neighborhood in Chicago. It's tragically closing, and they're moving to Logan Square because I think that building is being redeveloped that they're in. So I'm really bummed that they're going to be closing quite soon. If you're in the Chicago area and you're a listener, go to Buzz before it closes and get a cappuccino. What I've learned is that this is actually a pretty special drink that they make. So what distinguishes the espresso or the cappuccino at Buzz is all the shots. They have a sign in there, and it says all the espresso shots that we pull are a double ristretto. Is that a thing? Ristretto?
I believe based on the infographic that everybody sent us, that's a thing.
Yeah, and what that means is they use more coffee and less water. It's like a more concentrated shot, and when it comes out, it has like a stronger flavor and like a syrupy consistency because you have a lot of coffee and very little water. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everywhere else has the normal shot that you get at almost every coffee shop is like a more watery coffee-like shot. So that's really what I like about their cappuccino. And then it's physically a small glass. You go in, you pay a normal price for a normal cappuccino, but they give you a very small glass in return. And it's like mostly espresso, and then there's a little bit of steamed milk in there. But last week we were going down this whole thing of what kind of steam and how are they steaming it and what kind of bubbles and is it a velvety bubble or whatever, and it has nothing to do with the steam. It's all about the quality of the espresso shot.
And just to clarify, if people hadn't listened to that, it wasn't a matter of Max is having trouble finding the drink that he wants. The first confounding part was you didn't really know what to ask for. The second confounding part was when you went other places and asked for it, it was not even the same thing you didn't expect. You kept getting different things in different places.
Correct.
And feeling like you're asking for the same thing.
Right. And this was the most helpful answer I got was from a friend of the show, Marco Arment. And Marco said basically, the thing is, like, Americans want, when they pay for a coffee, they expect a big cup full of liquid. And most people do not. Furthermore, most people don't like the flavor of coffee. So the drink that is popular and that most people expect to get and like complain if they don't get is a big glass of milk with some coffee in it. And it kind of doesn't matter what you order.
That's not what you want. You don't want a big glass
I do not want a big glass full of hot milk. I don't want it. And the thing is, no matter what you order, whether it's a latte or a cappuccino or macchiato, or these are all just slight variations of a big glass brimming with hot milk. And I don't want that. I don't want a big glass brimming with hot milk. So essentially, it's honestly, like, it's not, it is, if you find a coffee shop that makes a cappuccino that some people have called like Italian style or European style, where it's just they're comfortable selling you a physically smaller drink for the same amount of money, that's a special... Basically what I've learned is that's a special drink that special places make. You kind of have to seek it out, and it's not always available at every coffee shop. And that's that. And it's not really a matter of like ordering the right fucking code word. I will say, like, I guess thank you to the 300 people that sent me like, oh, you have to order a triple macchiato, but just the coffee, and then ask them to spoon the foam in instead of pouring it. And it's like, I'm never going to do that. I would
Max,
rather...
you were very clear. You were very clear about one codicil of this request for advice, which is it had to be one word that you could.
I'm not going to make a special coffee order. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to stand in line and have everyone watching me and have that pressure going. And then they're like, "What do you want?" And I'm like, first thing first. Do you know how to spoon the foam? Like, it's not going to happen.
You pull out your scroll. I have a series of questions before we order anything. Hang on a minute. I'm in no rush here.
Some people
we need to get a couple things worked out before we get to this quote-unquote order.
Some people sent over this infographic showing all of the different ratios of milk and coffee that you can order, and
other people corrected it.
Yeah, right. And then
Actually.
I was like, well, I'm not going to order any of these things. And then they were like, well, you don't have to order it. Just bring the infographic and point to the thing you want. And I'm like, what kind of a fucking
You should get it on a card in your wallet, like the Constitution.
Yeah, it's like these people who like carry the Bill of Rights with them in case they're pulled over for a speeding ticket.
Would you like to borrow mine?
Yeah, officer, am I being detained? Do you know how to spoon the foam? Like, I'm not going to do that.
I interviewed
That's
Cory
not my
Doctorow,
life.
sir.
All right. So basically, what I have here is 9 different drinks sitting in front of me. And I guess I'll go through them and rate them. But I'll spoiler alert, I already know the winner, and it's obvious visually from looking at them what is the correct thing that I want to order here. But I guess like...
Oh, no.
Let's just start with... Do you want to try these two, Alex? I don't know. I've never seen you drink a coffee.
I wonder why. Oh, God.
Do you want to try these?
I don't really drink coffee.
Is there an Americano type one? Like
I don't know what that is.
I
Is
don't
that
know
coffee
anything
and water?
about-
Yeah. Well,
Check
the
your
water
infographic,
coffee,
Max.
yeah.
It's espresso plus water.
I honestly think I would like that more than the Milky Boys.
My wife Mel is a barista, and I was like, so what do people order usually? And she's says that people say, can I have a latte with no milk, which is coffee? Can I have a strong coffee with water, which is an Americano? And can I have a cappuccino but with a lot of milk, which is a latte? So really we're just a bunch of dumb Americans.
Listen, this is my relationship to America in a nutshell, which is most people don't know anything. And they go to the coffee shop and they have no knowledge in their head, and they start randomly spouting off a bunch of bullshit that's totally indecipherable and infuriates everyone around them, and they make a fool of themselves. I, on the other hand, know way too much about coffee now, and I go in there and the end result is the same, which is I just start ranting and raving, and everyone is like, who is this guy? He's asking to spoon the foam. It's like there's no difference. We're all nowhere.
Well, Kara, I feel like it should be your next your duties should be to figure out how to scoop the foam and roast,
that's a good idea.
the
God.
beans.
Okay. All right.
We have a bean
I'm
roaster.
starting with the latte.
Supplies.
It's a big milky beverage. It's not bad. It's a big tall milk.
Adults should not drink milk.
It basically tastes like a chocolate milk to me.
I'm very intrigued by, not to derail this, but I'm very intrigued by what you said, though. I think you kind of nailed it, or Marco, that people think they like coffee, but it's really the stuff in coffee that they like. It's the sugary, tasty, the nutmegs and the whatnot. But the coffee itself, if you're adding that much milk and water to it, maybe you don't really like coffee. Maybe you really want an ice cream cone.
There's the I can't believe I'm about to reference this, but there's the Malcolm Gladwell TED Talk where he talks about the varieties of ketchup, and he has one great story that I think about all the time, which is there's a piece of early market research on coffee, where if you ask Americans in a poll, what kind of coffee do you like? They all say, I like a strong, hearty brew. I like a bold brew. But what they actually like is a milky sweet coffee. Like if based on what they actually enjoy drinking in like a blind taste test, it's a weak, milky, sweet coffee. So
I mean, that's like asking someone how much can you lift, I feel
Yeah,
like.
no, it is, but it totally is. But the idea is people don't really know what they want, and if you're if you know how to use, if you could sort of engineer a product that is designed for people to buy, you would not make a strong coffee beverage. This is the secret success of what makes Starbucks work for the mass audience. So Starbucks makes this notoriously over-roasted, bitter, burnt-tasting, bad espresso. Like if you just have a shot of espresso from Starbucks, it does not taste good. It tastes wrong. And that's why
it's so different from having like recently roasted. There's a place used to be in my neighborhood where they made their own. They did their own beans, and it was transformative. Every espresso I'd had before that had been like a Cafe Bustelo or something. It had been like some bitterness made on a college range. And like when you have like real espresso prepared in that way, very, very strong, not too much water, it's sweet. Like not in like a cloying like energy drink way, but it's a totally different beverage. When I was in New Zealand, every single cup of coffee I had was phenomenal. And it's so different from that bitter stuff that tastes high end to the proles.
Yeah, and the only thing is what Starbucks knows that fancy coffee shops don't, or they're catering to a different audience or whatever, is most Americans want a milkshake with a little bit of coffee flavor in it. They want a huge thing of sweet milk. And Starbucks, by over roasting their coffee and making it really, really strong and burnt and bitter tasting, it achieves two ends. The first end is consistency. All fast food at its heart is about consistency. When you go to a McDonald's, you want the same hamburger whether you're in Hong Kong or New York or Scranton, right? It's the same hamburger with the same sauce and the same beef. And their entire supply chain is all engineered around consistency. You get the exact same thing at every McDonald's. If Starbucks was roasting like craft coffee, you would have wild variations, right? Craft coffee is like wine or some bullshit like that, where it's like everyone has its own special, a lot going on in this shot, right?
Super interesting.
So by over roasting it, Starbucks can make a consistent drink where all the beans taste the same in the end. That's number one. Number two is when you put that really strong bitter shot into a milkshake, you still taste a little bit of the coffee flavor. If you had like a really what you're talking about, like one of these like subtle, like sweet, complex, like coffee shots, it would be totally lost when you put it in a vanilla milkshake.
Well, also a cynical person would say that if they were so inclined, making coffee that is deliberately bitter and slightly burnt tasting would definitely mask whether that was old coffee that had not been recently prepared. If you have a lighter roast that's a cynical person would say that. If you have a lighter roast, like more like the connoisseur types, that's going to taste funky in a way that stuff that's been sitting in a tureen since 6:30 may not.
Well, anyway, I'm gradually working through these coffee drinks. I will say, okay, I'm curious if you try the latte and the cappuccino. Mm-hmm. They taste they're the same drink, right? Am I wrong about this?
Yeah, that's like the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you. Wow. They're the exact same drink. So I don't know why they're sold differently, because there is no difference. They're full to the brim with hot milk. Mm-hmm.
I blame George Soros.
He's making the drinks milkier. I have them once a year.
Everybody's out there ordering their very special drink. They're all ordering exactly the same drink, which is some coffee and some milk.
Okay. I've got a red eye. I believe that's a coffee with espresso in it.
Oh God.
That tastes good. I would have
that's a good ass drink.
I would have that if I were like pulling an all-nighter.
Alex is going to try a latte and a cappuccino.
Americano.
You're a super taster, so you can tell us if there's a difference.
Disgusting.
Americano is espresso and water?
Yeah.
Ooh, Alex is making quite a face.
God damn it. The latte is stronger, but that doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be stronger, right? The cappuccino should be stronger.
They're the same drink.
I
think they're the same.
It's possible. Both taste terrible.
So it's possible that the cappuccino has like more foamed milk, so there's like a barrier that prevents the coffee taste from getting to your tongue.
I think that's what's. Oh,
it's being filtered through. Okay, Americano is good, but not noteworthy. All right, I've got a masala chai. Like, what is that?
Oh, masala. Yeah, like masala. Is that right?
Chicken tikka masala.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mazel tov.
It's green? No, that's a different one. Is green. Oh, okay, what is this? Ooh. Okay. Oh, Alex, try this one. This is sweet. This is a sweet. That's kind of it's kind of an Indian food milkshake. All right, I'm going to
I mean,
try
isn't
this.
chai tea? Like, what's happening? Ugh.
Okay, and then I have...
Oh, it's spicy. Oh.
Okay, here's a
Ugh.
turmeric ginger chai.
Oh.
Oh, that's quite good. I really like this ginger.
You like spicy taste though. Right? I mean, if I think about you and your booch, like you like a slightly exotic umami kind of mix of zesty tastes.
Yeah,
right?
you know, in terms of like tasting weird foods, like I'm kind of like a heroin addict. Like I don't get high. Like, you know, it's like I'm not really getting high on weed anymore. Like I need harder stuff.
I think it's definitely true of heroin addicts. They're not actually getting high.
No, I'm just saying like you need more.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't really go back to like smoking weed.
Opium epidemic overrated.
All right.
Yeah.
I like these chais. I would never order them again in my life, but I think they're like a good flavor. And then what's left here? I've got this one is the mocha latte. So that's that's going to have a chocolate component.
I mean, the Americano is the most, like, that is a cup of coffee.
All right,
It's
try
strong
this.
coffee.
All right, I want Alex to try this mocha one. This is just a hot chocolate with coffee in it.
That's what I want from a coffee.
Yeah,
I'm just like
a
a
hot
trash
chocolate?
American. Yeah.
Oh, God. Like, I remember going as a kid and getting a Frappuccino. I still hated it because
Oh,
I could
those
taste
glorified
the...
milkshakes?
Yeah,
I love those.
Those are actually milkshakes. They're
Yeah.
800 calories. And
Oh.
they've got,
The best.
Shit, dog, this is really good. This is the matcha latte. So this is like a green tea matcha, like whipped into a latte. I assume that's just a milky green tea. It's a hot glass brimming with milk, but with matcha in it.
I think that maybe
Merlin, is
my
this
palate
exciting
is
for you?
fucked up.
No, I'm
but-
actually really enjoying this. It's making me want some coffee, and it's reminding me of how I got started with coffee, which is like one night. This is such a huge night for me. It was my first freelance gig. Was laying out this real estate paper at the office in PageMaker. This is probably 1987, 88, something like that. Anyway, long story short, maybe a little later. But the point is, it was when I well and truly got into coffee because I've been at school all day. I've been doing stuff. I go and I work on their own Mac. Like after 10 o'clock, and I get to lay this thing out. And like, if you want to make some coffee, help yourself. And it was just like shitty Folgers, but they also had those Swiss Miss packets. So the night I really got into coffee, I made crappy like Folgers coffee and then would dump an entire Swiss Miss plus sugar and creamer into it. And it was the best thing in the world. But then, I mean, now I like coffee, but I think that's the gateway. This is why you give kids, candy cigarettes and shit. Like that it gets them into it. So that so far, what's the winner for the Super Taster so far?
I mean, the one mocha latte is clearly just hot chocolate with a little bit of like a tiny bit of espresso. I'm very worried about what's this? The matcha latte.
I
It's
really like that
green.
one. It's just a green tea with milk.
There's
no coffee. I don't think there's coffee in it.
Ooh, look at that. It looks like somebody's drained a wound.
This literally is green tea and milk. What? Oh God, humans are gross.
All right, and then here's the thing. So what I've just had we just went through 8 what is that? 16-ounce glasses full of hot milk with flavors in it. And there's one outlier on the menu, and it's this $3 drink. It's at the bottom of the menu, and it's called the Cortado. And the Cortado is very different than the rest of these drinks. Can you guys describe it?
It's in a little Dixie cup, like the ones that you have mouthwash in.
It's like what the dentist gives you
Yeah.
to swish.
It's kind of, I think it's funny because it's what I've seen in Europe, like what an espresso looks like, but still yet in a bigger cup than you would expect.
Yeah, it's basically, I believe the Cortado is exactly what I want. This is basically the cappuccino that I get at Buzz, which is, I think it's espresso and then a little bit of milk and foam. I'm gonna try it.
It looks perfect.
There's also a pretty design on it.
It's essentially a big shot.
Yes. Oh, that's really good. To me, that is what I want every time I order coffee. Like, but I think you have to like the flavor of coffee to think that that's good.
Why is there still milk in it? There's clearly
It's
foam.
because part of the joy of like a perfect little cappuccino is like the texture and the sweetness and the toastiness of the milk. You want just a little bit.
I will say, like, that is so the reason I hate coffee is because of the bitterness. But if I'm tasting wine, I'm like, oh, that gross swill. I understand why a fancy man would like that. And this you can, and with this little, the thing that's in the shot, it essentially looks like what you put a Jell-O shot in at a frat party. But you can taste the foaminess of the milk. It's kind of cool. Oh God, I'm
All right.
throw
So
up.
anyway, if you want to join the Powder Nation and order the correct coffee drink that real men order when they go to the coffee shop and up your tea with a masculine drink, and you do not want to be poisoning your body with George Soros quantities of huge glasses of milk, what you want to do is you want to confidently march in there and order a cortado.
I'm gonna offer an alternative, which is if you're one of Cox's cucks, you want to go to Starbucks, get a can of the Starbucks refreshers, revitalizing energy, and it's grab and go, just with the right amount of energy. The sparkling pick-me-up contains a blend of real fruit juice, I'm sure it's real, vitamins, ginseng, whatever, and caffeine from green coffee extract that will help you conquer your afternoon lull that I started drinking at 6 a.m. It's delicious. It's just
The Starbucks Red Bull.
it's basically strawberry soda with caffeine. Yeah. All right. Come on, it's a cute little can.
No, those are fine. I've had them. They're good.
Everyone's judging me in the room, really.
Yeah.
One final coffee piece of follow-up. I did get a very cool tweet from Mr. Cat Tears on Twitter.
Mr. Cat Hairs?
At Mr. Cat. Oh, it's at Mr. Cat Tears. At Mr. Cat Tears.
Oh.
And he said, regarding coffee, not sure if you found it, but in Melbourne, I think what you're describing is a quote-unquote magic. And then there's a link to this article of how Australians order coffee. And I totally do want a magic. And I do want to say, like, what a fucking paradise that would be to live in Australia and you just walk into a coffee shop and you're like, give me a magic, please. And they give you a perfect coffee drink. Like, that's all I want in my life is to just go in there and be like, make some magic.
That sounds like a lap dance.
Give me the one-hit shit.
Steamed milk poured over a double ristretto served in a smaller 160 milliliter cup.
That is my fantasy drink. It's
Not
the perfect coffee
sounding
drink.
less like a lap dance. All right, Max, what is your next piece of follow-up?
Well, this is a piece that, oh my God, it's old. It's from October 2016. I didn't realize that. It was like making the rounds on the internet this week, and it's in the Atlantic by Matt Kessler. It's a piece called "Are Wet Wipes Wrecking the World's Sewers?" Did you guys see this?
From 2014? No, I did not.
Can I just? I'm just going to read. I'll just do a little bit of reading on this because it does give a lot of answers to the dilemma of what the fuck is going on with wet wipes.
And what is in your long-standing question? I mean, your original unsatisfied question. If I want to be a good corporate citizen, like, what do I do with these wipes after I've cleaned up my splatter?
Because we know that you're not. It's not. They say flushable on them, but they're actually we know they're not good to flush. So my question is, what are you supposed to do with them? Do you wash them off and put them in your bag? Do you throw them in the garbage? Yeah. What are you supposed to do? So, all right, this article does provide some answers. And okay, well, I'll just read it. Maybe, yeah, I'll just read this thing. Around the end of high school, Sean Riley got hooked on using wet wipes as toilet paper. He first encountered them at a friend's house on the back of the toilet and decided to give them a try. It's just a totally different feeling, he says. You see what you are leaving behind. When he moved into an apartment in Chicago with his three best friends after college, Riley stocked wet wipes in the bathroom. It didn't take long for the guys to have what he calls, quote, the conversation. They all admitted they were addicted. Once they felt that moist rub, they couldn't turn back to the brittle chafe of toilet paper. They made a trip to Sam's Club together to buy wet wipes in bulk. Then they had a second conversation. What if they started a business? What if they created a wet wipe that young men, like themselves, could purchase without feeling embarrassed? Quote, that's when we started looking at the market, Riley says. Where is the flushable wipes market at right now? Where is it going? Can you guys guess where the market is going?
Our story.
Dude Wipes was born. The company is a rising star in the flushable wet wipe world with a multi-billion-dollar industry that took off in the mid-2000s when companies like Kimberly-Clark and Procter & Gamble repackaged traditional baby wipes as luxurious adult toilet paper, pre-soaked and cut down small enough to flush down a toilet. In 2015, personal wet wipe sales reached an estimated $2.2 billion. Holy fucking shit! Dude Wipes has made a name for itself by using clever and humorous marketing. The company posts a never-ending stream of potty-mouthed jokes on social media, such as the faux launch of a limited edition pumpkin spice scent. Riley, now 31, refers to himself as, quote, the chief executive dude. Collectively, the owners call themselves, quote, the ambassadors.
Oh, I seen the capitalized ass.
Ambassadors.
Yeah, look at that. That's very clever.
All right, hang on. But
See the photo?
skipping.
See that photo?
What photo am I looking at?
Scroll down a little bit.
Oh my God, the Fatberg.
Yeah, that's Fatberg.
Oh, we're coming up to it.
It looks like you're pulling up Cousin It.
But lawsuits are now popping up around the country over the use of the word flushable. Sewage authorities claim that flushable wet wipes don't break apart and as a result are destroying municipal sewer systems. The wipes cluster with congealed food fat to form large blockages known as a fatberg, a portmanteau of fat and iceberg. Last year, a 10-ton lump was removed from the London sewer system at a cost of $400,000, and then the little italic L with the line through it. I'm not sure what that means. Lira?
Did they mention it's the size of a bus?
Cases have also been reported in Newcastle, Sydney, San Francisco, Miami, New York City, Toronto, and Washington, D.C. In 2015, the FTC pulled a wet wipe by the brand Nice Pack off the market. Nice. Sewage authorities hope that more regulation is imminent. Dude Wipes, for its part, claims that its wipes are biodegradable and have been, quote, tested by scientists and doctor dudes. Are those claims true? Can wet wipes be stopped, or must cities resign themselves to a future of fatberg? Isn't this fucking crazy? Every paragraph of this article is more and more insane.
And it's in the Atlantic. I mean, this isn't in like a supermarket tabloid. This is
so basically what the article. I mean, I will put this in the show notes. It's a great read, and it's longer than we can read the whole thing here. But essentially, there's a big regulatory fight between what the word flushable means and the private companies making the wet wipes. They sort of have these like they put them in like tanks that agitate the water, and they show that in 72 hours. The wet wipe will like break down into fibers or whatever, and that to them they can then advertise it as flushable. But the municipal sewer systems are saying like, well, wait a minute, you don't have 72 hours. It gets flushed down the toilet and it gets clogged in the sewers within 5 minutes. So it's not actually, doesn't actually disintegrate. It's not actually flushable. And, it's like, it is interesting that, like, I don't know, it's like everything else on this fucking podcast. We start by making fun of it and making jokes about it, and then it becomes this, like, synecdoche for, like, everything wrong in America, right? Where right. any individual company is just trying to cash in, they're just trying to get their piece of this billion-dollar market, and they're all incentivized to make softer, stronger, more luxurious wipes to
throw away, and then mix with the fats from all the fatty foods that we've been eating to turn into a literal synecdoche for our nation.
Yeah, but it creates this problem that's bigger than any individual company. They're all incentivized to contribute to it, but none of them have any responsibility for people's toilets backing up and having to excavate the street and the millions of dollars of sewage repairs that need to happen. I mean, it's a huge problem. It's just like anything else, right? And it also just goes to show that, like, this is the other thing is like all these the whole sort of narrative right now of like the right wing. We're going to peel back the Obama regulations and we're going to get rid of the like onerous regulatory state of Obamacare, and we're going to free up business to do what they want, and citizens will be free to like pursue their individual happiness and profits or whatever. Well, it's like that. The flip side of that coin is that you're just living in a shitty world caused by companies if you deregulate everything. Like either way, the individual citizens still have their toilets, their shit backing up into their house. Anyway, I've had a lot of coffee, boy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm gonna throw up at all, and I definitely.
Did you see the picture of this fatberg?
It's in the
That's the
text
fat.
there.
That's the fat and the wipes, and they congeal into a fatberg.
It looks.
It's got
a real Lovecraft quality to it.
Yeah, we had one of those in the office when the shitlord rose, but ours was all tampon based.
Yeah, I remember.
There were a lot of tampons being flushed.
There's too many women in the office, clearly.
I didn't want to say anything.
So
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dig dug.
No, we're not there yet, are we? Are we already up to that?
I don't know. Do you have any more follow up, Max?
It's all been really good so far.
Well, we could talk about smalt. This week,
yes, please.
So this week we all became obsessed with the Bluetooth salt shaker Smalt.
It's a centerpiece, Max.
Yeah, and there's a lot to say about Smalt, but I'm just trying to figure out how do we get into this thing?
You mean how did?
Yeah, wasn't there some backs? What were we talking about?
I don't know. It just appeared like 6 people texted me and slacked me and tweeted me and all the.
I mean, this is very much
boops.
your brand.
Oh God, it's so good. So it's not even a part of the Internet of Things because it doesn't connect to Wi-Fi. It only connects to your phone. But Smalt is the smart home meets dining device, and it's
it's a centerpiece.
The world's first smart centerpiece designed exclusively for your indoor/outdoor dining area. Coming soon on Indiegogo, which is definitely not a weird platform to launch anything on. And it's the first multi-sensory device to make the dining experience fun. And there's 3 bullet points about how great this product is.
I love the order of these 3 bullet points so much.
Number 1, you can turn up the volume, pair your phone, and let the entertainment begin. From jazz to Johnny Cash, street. All right. Anyway,
so they're saying. I mean, okay. At this point, they're saying, okay, here's a Bluetooth speaker. Here's a Bluetooth speaker that you permanently keep on the dining table.
Can I just say also, it looks hideous, or as John Gruber would say, homely.
And then you can light up the room, make any moment more memorable with the color-changing mood light.
Do you guys agree with me though that the whole notion of keeping this as a centerpiece on your table, it looks awful?
Yeah.
It's like a crazy bulbous...
Well, there's a reason we'll come back to this. There's a reason we keep saying, for some reason, the word centerpiece is very important to this company, and it keeps coming up in the most improbable ways. But so their first pitch is bullet 1, you get this thing that's a Bluetooth speaker, as you say, Alex. Bullet 2, the thing is, it looks like it's got the ring kind of like on an Echo. Right? We know where the Echo tells you if it heard your voice, and it shows you. It's very clever on an Echo. And in this case, I'm not sure this is beaming this light out all over the room like a disco ball. I think it's like a child's toy. It's like a Simon. I think it just makes little colors on the rim. So while you're eating, and you're eating,
like it's a water-cooled PC or an e-cigarette. Oh. It's just like, hey, look, this lights up.
It's a vape pen for your dinner. Oh, honey, the turkey's a little dry. Let's light up the room.
Now, one of my favorite parts of this website is it goes through all these features and benefits, and then the last one.
Oh,
can you read
the
last one where it's like, also, it's a salt shaker.
Amp up the flavor.
Amp up the flavor.
Welcome to Flavor Town.
Everything tastes better with a little bit of salts. Surprise your guests and their palates with fun, interactive ways to shake salt to bring up.
Oh my God! What are these? What are these delectable crystals that you're sprinkling on the food? My palate is awakened. Everything tastes.
Holy shit!
It tastes. I'm alive with sensation. What is this? Oh what are these remarkable crystals?
Where did you get this centerpiece?
And the other mystery to me is, what is the M on it? Is that the M in Smalt? Like, you see there's a little...
Yeah, that's like their shitty logo that they plaster on it. So the final delight that I found on the Smalt website is that there's a Smalt blog. You can go, I believe it's mysmalt.com/blog. And they have these
talking about their March 27th entry,
and they have these professionally written blog entries that sort of welcome you into the world of Smalt. And I just thought I would do a quick reading from one of these. And you know that there's some fucking intern that had to sit there and they were like, "Hey, generate content for the Smalt blog. We need something to post up at mysmalt.com/blog." And these interns they're English writing majors, and they just went to town. But if you'll permit me, I do want to just do a quick dramatic reading. The artful centerpiece has been around for centuries. Ancient Romans often decorated their grandiose tables with seasonal foliage and handmade ceramics. During the Middle Ages, aristocrats would garnish their tables with pastries and marzipan, molded into the likeness of people for Christmas celebrations. By the 18th century, centerpieces were made by setting detailed porcelain figures atop a mirror. These focal points were used to complement a meal while showing off the host's wealth. Smalt blog. mysmalt.com/blog.
There are different types of centerpieces for each key room of the home. They serve dissimilar functions that add to a specific room's style and flow. For instance, dining room centerpieces are used to decorate the middle of a table and add atmosphere for dinner parties. Centerpieces found in the living room, on the other hand, are used to spark conversation and provide a sense of uniqueness. Balanced homes often include key centerpieces for multiple rooms.
I want one more than anything I've ever wanted
Alex,
in my entire life.
I gotta say, it does kind of seem like your aesthetic.
I want it so bad. I
100% am expecting you to get a small.
Oh yeah. Because all products on Indiegogo, all tech products on Indiegogo always exceed, and I'll definitely get one.
Centerpieces have evolved in the smart home age. High-tech gadgets and decor serve as unique displays to embellish rooms. Digital paintings that adjust to a room's lighting and temperature are common. Technicolor fountains and interactive touchscreens entertain guests waiting at the dinner table. While innovative technology reigns supreme, homeowners should consider some of these digital items as worthwhile centerpieces. For truly imaginative pieces, ditch the outdated table dressings and think outside the box. What is going to be your next smart centerpiece? Challenge this week comes from Alex.
I didn't want to do anything this week, so I asked both of you to rewatch or watch. I assume you've seen it. Watch The Social Network, a film directed by David Fincher and written by Aaron Sorkin, and is supposedly the story about the founding of Facebook.
Had everyone seen it before?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Many times.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times too, and mainly my experience from watching it is I remember what a great film it is.
That's how I had remembered it too. Yeah.
Did you actually rewatch it, Merlin?
Tried.
Whoa. Okay.
Couldn't get through it?
Wow. Oh.
Well, no, you know what? I'm going to recuse myself of this one. I'm going to sessions this one. No, because I'm going to say things that are going to make you unhappy, and it's going to open an old wound between the two of us if I bring up what I want to bring up.
I don't know what this is. I'm happy for Alex to be
You weren't on
wounded.
that episode. You weren't on that episode, and you have wanted to excise it from the feed. It's a David Fincher movie, so it's very well done. You know what? I'm going to reserve. You guys go ahead. I will come in later with my remarks. But it wasn't as good as I remember.
Alex, this is your challenge. What do you like about this movie?
Well, when I saw this movie, this was actually, I think, the first exposure I had to Aaron Sorkin, because I'd never seen The West Wing. I'd never seen Studio Number, or anything like that. And I liked computers, but I hated Facebook, so I was really excited. But quickly, very quickly, you learn that this is not a story about Facebook. None of it's true. Justin Timberlake plays the guy who founded Napster. And I was just taken aback by the writing of it. And this is when I think the movie came out in 2010. And this was at a time that people still didn't really care about computers or how social networks were made. There were none of the Snapchats or WeChats, BMOs, whatever. And I don't know, this was the first time that people looked like they were actually doing something on screen. Like David Fincher shoots it in a way that it looks like things are happening. And yes, I understand that is not how code happens. That's not how Facebook was made.
But you feel like, there's momentum to what's happening, and you feel like there's enough explained. Maybe on fourth watch, maybe a little too much. But like when he's hacking together his face smash or whatever it's called, like it is so difficult to make typing look interesting.
Yeah,
That's
an
one of the
action
famous
sequence.
Difficult things. Yeah,
and I was reading about the sound designer. And I think we should talk about the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and it's one of my favorite scores in any film. But like the sound design of it, they don't do like the traditional bleep bloop bleep bloop when like hackers go into the mainframe. Like there's a lot of clicky noises, a lot of like jamming on keyboards and snapping laptops open and closed. And I just really like that. And I liked smart people talking about things. However, upon rewatching it, I've got to say, meh.
Oh my God! I am
meh.
so surprised to hear that was exactly my feeling. I was like, "This is well executed," and fine. Kind of how I felt about Get Out. Like, this is very well executed, but not quite what I remember. I think it's well done, but I don't think this sounds dumb to say after only 7 years. I don't think it's aged well, and it almost feels like a parody of a David Fincher movie.
I wouldn't say, like, there are still things where I think, like, that first sequence, I think, is one of the most
in the bar when they're talking.
No. I hate that. It's stupid. It's
It's one of the best. It's. I mean, I just to talk about that first scene. It's one of the most brilliant opening scenes in any movie I've ever seen. So it does so much. It establishes the aesthetic of the movie, and it tells you the world that you're going to be in the way that it's filmed. It's kind of
reveals so much about like how smart he is, but how broken he is.
Right, exactly. The fact that White Stripes song is playing over the dialogue with the background noise, it's one of my favorite like sound editing things ever.
Yes.
It right from the first moment of the movie, you physically lean forward in the seat, and this movie is telling you, pay attention. You're going to be one step behind what's happening in this movie the whole time. So apply yourself to understanding what's happening. And then finally, thematically, it tells you the entire movie in one little thing, right? All the things they're talking about are a little example of all the different themes of the movie, the way that they're, and furthermore, I took away a big theme from this that I never picked up on other themes so I watched it with Veronica, who had never seen it all the way through before. I think we tried to watch it and she fell asleep or something. And one of the things that she was asking me a lot is like, is that true? Or did the Winklevosses really do this? Or at one point she asked when they were getting really mad at the Mark Zuckerberg character, she was like, what did he do really? Like, did he do anything wrong? And I was like, well, I don't really know how to answer that. Like, sort of yes and sort of no. It depends on who you think the protagonist is. But one thing I think that this movie did that I have never appreciated on previous viewings is that this movie doesn't have a protagonist. You can everyone is the hero of their own story in this movie, right? And they're all portrayed sympathetically. You could watch this movie from the point of view of the Winklevi and see how fucked they got, or from Spider-Man, or from Mark Zuckerberg, or from the outside and see how these people are all petty and they're all squabbling and it's all ridiculous. But this is a commentary ultimately on Facebook, because on Facebook, everybody retreats into their own little solipsistic bubble where they're the hero of their own story and they're going to proclaim their Aaron Sorkin-esque speeches and talk over everyone else and sort of say their worldview, and there's no real listening. And that first conversation sets that up so clearly of like, welcome to the Facebook reading of humanity. These people are just talking over each other. They're having 3 conversations at once. They don't even realize that they're being insulted.
I will say this about the first scene. Like, the dialogue is I don't want to say it's fantastic, but it was my introduction to Aaron Sorkin dialogue, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's very Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, there are going to be 6 things going on at once, and it does set up. Mark is like, okay, like he's this strange boy who's smarter than everyone. Like, and I don't think it makes him sympathetic. I don't think that the Winklevi and whatever their little bitch boy, like, I don't see them as heroes. I don't empathize with them at all.
The thing that hit me, and it only occurred to me as Max was saying what he was saying, but I'm going to own the fact that I'm an old man now. And even in the 7 years since this came out, I think my idea about the world, I'm not going to get into the whole Silicon Valley problem, although that's certainly part of it. But you know what it was? When I watched this, all the people that I'm supposed to be paying attention to are assholes. Mm-hmm. They're all incredible. They're self-involved, small, ugly people. And I just kept noticing all the Ann Perkinses. I just kept noticing all of the grown-ups who had to sit in a room and be an adult with these petulant children. And I understand what they're doing. Yeah, big stuff. It's all important. There's a reason this story is being told. And I don't put too fine a point on it. But on this particular viewing, one reason I found the movie insufferable was it's making assholes articulate in a way that I hope is not a model for the young people of the world, but mainly I thought, man, there's a lot of people who had like the lawyers and all these people. They worked really hard for the whole life to then have to sit around and listen to this guy in a hoodie try to be smart.
But can't you see that that's what the movie has to say about Facebook, of how these ordinary people?
Oh, you think I'm doing it? This is the same thing John Syracuse said. This is why I didn't get Fight Club.
No, I don't think you don't get it. I don't think you don't get it. I just think like the movie creates that is not an accident, right? You're constantly introduced to these competent people who just don't get it, right? They don't get Facebook. So like Larry Summers, right? He's the former Fed chair and he's this powerful guy, and he just like when he talks to the Winklevosses, he's just like, well, come up with another idea. Like he just doesn't get it, right? And the same thing with the lawyer, like with the Ann Perkins lawyer and all the other all these, like you said, like the sympathetic, competent people who are just caught up in this whole bullshit.
The adults,
right? They're all caught up in this web of bullshit, and you have these like geniuses who are like fast talking past them, right? And they're throwing barbs and insulting each other, and they're like talking in circles, and like it's not inaccurate. Like it's all true. Like those kids are smart. They are geniuses, but they also have no understanding of human nature, and they're really cruel, and they're assholes, and they ruin life for everyone else around them because now we all have to live in the Facebook world where these like fast talking idiots think that they're scoring points with their post, and I have to suffer with it.
I saw an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, and there was the obligatory question of, have you seen the Social Network? What do you think about it? And he gave a bullshit answer of like, I could talk about what's true and not true, and I mean most of it, like I agree with Max, like the theme of it, true, but there was no Erica, which I think is fine. But he's like, well, I think that the filmmakers just can't understand young people, and they can't understand that we just wanted to build something to build something.
Because the filmmakers were never young. How could they understand young people?
They don't want to make something just to make something. God forbid they understand art.
Because once you're old, you were never young.
I see, and maybe that's, and the other movie that I enjoy, Important Company Man, that was also written by Aaron Sorkin. I think the reason I enjoy it is because it's also like these people are not fast talkers though. Like these are a bunch of nerds. Have you watched Mark Zuckerberg speak? Remember when he had that breakdown in front of a bunch of people with the weird Illuminati hoodie? Like they do not understand. Like they're very smart, and I think they are. If this story was told in a true way, they would be way more empathetic.
Alex, would you agree with me that the use of, to give a charitable reading to this movie, or what is it, Important Company Man? The most charitable reading is that the fast-talking, zingy Aaron Sorkin dialogue is a stand-in for showing that they are smarter than the people around them at the thing that's being discussed, right?
Yeah.
Like Zuckerberg, like there's no question. First of all, I have the same feeling about Important Company Man as I do about Social Network, which is these movies have nothing to do with the tech companies or their origin stories that they purport to talk about, right? They're essentially fictional stories, and I wish they had. Like, the screenplays of both of those films would be more interesting to me if they were just made up computer companies, right? Like,
and they would have steered clear of so much. We talked about this in that episode, but about Important Company Man. But they would have steered clear of so much unnecessary agita if they had just done a Romana Clay and said, okay, this is about Important Company Man. This is not actually Steve.
Right. We're a computer company called Smapple, and we make computers. And and my name is B Blobs.
This is my Mac.
Problem solved. We can't wait to see what you do with it. Smapple. No, I mean, right, in a way, like, problem solved. Like, they do get themselves into territory by taking artistic liberties with a well-documented real thing that happened. But all that being said, if we can not critique it on, is it historically accurate to what Facebook is about or whatever?
Not at all. I don't think
it is.
It is
about like what this movie is exploring is like Mark Zuckerberg had a way of seeing humanity, seeing human relations in this data-driven, sort of autistic, like inhuman way. And you could say, depending on your perspective, depending on where you sit, you can say, well, he was smarter than everyone around him, and he saw the way that people wanted to interact with each other, and he built that, and no one else saw it. Or you can say he was like less human than the people around him, and he dragged everyone down to his level. And this movie does not plant a flag, I don't think. I think it shows that everybody involved in Facebook is miserable, which is I think it's a good way of letting you reflect on it yourself. But there is something there. Like that is the interesting question. And it's relevant to explore these things because the mythology of like Silicon Valley startups are pop culture mythology. Like this is like what we tell instead of fairy tales. It's like the company started in the garage, it started in the dorm room. It's like that's all bullshit. Like it's all started with like VCs and it's like it's all but then it gets, when you tell it 10 years later, it's like, oh, these guys just loved making something and they started in their garage or whatever. And it's never that simple, but I think it is an interesting place to go with like pop culture narrative to start peeling apart these origin stories. It's also why Silicon Valley has so quickly fully embraced the like pull yourself up by our bootstraps libertarianism, like
meritocracy.
Like the real man is self-sufficient and can take care of himself and build something out of nothing. Like that is ideology, right? And the people who believe in it, they purport to be free of any ideology, right? They're like, this is a worldview free of all ideology. But of course, that's where ideology lives. Like that's where you find ideology, is what people say.
Like hegemony. Yeah, there's like I first heard this quote. This is now very famous, like cliche, but I first heard this about George W. Bush, that he was born on third and he thinks he hit a triple.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful image to me, because I feel like that's a lot of it is, and it really gets into this whole toxic culture. This is not strictly about this movie, but it is part of this whole like TED Talk culture of like, hey, I somehow managed to not fail at something, and now I have advice for the world on how to optimize your workflow about this.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I think that's like a huge cultural thing right now.
But people love these stories. I mean,
they're powerful. They're an powerful audience. Stories. There's a reason it's a reason that every startup has some bullshit on their about page of like, we started with two guys in a garage who just loved making socks for dogs,
So we make fun of black people who buy lottery tickets, but at the same time, there are a lot of folks out there who you describe this, I think, as a fairy tale. This is this notional tale of like, wow, that could be me. All I need is a garage and an idea.
Right. And that's why I think I like these movies, and I think like part of the job of art and cultural criticism is to like find the places where mythology exists in the culture and like tell those stories and deconstruct them and show you them from different angles. And that's what this is doing, right? Everyone's heard the alleged origin story of Facebook and Apple and all of these companies, and here's another look at it, right? Here's a look where it has way more nuance and complexity, and you can see the ways that things were more complicated and they had advantages, or they were weird or broken people who started these things, and also like how not clean of a transaction it is, right? Like in both of these stories, like you see people giving away a certain part of their humanity to have the success that they do, and to have this sort of like, especially in the Facebook story, like Zuckerberg ultimately, like his triumph is he has this very like instrumentalized view of humanity and human relationships, where all girls can be reduced down to the number of how hot they are, and all friendships can be reduced down to the social graph. And it's a very it's like scientism, right? It's this total instrumentalization of all human nature down to like a thing that can be charted and plotted and measured. And well, to some degree, maybe it's true. Maybe the success of Facebook is obviously a big strike in the column of like, well, maybe that really is how humans are. Maybe you really can plot it on a heat map and see the social graph and discover the true nature of what makes people work in their relationships. But what do you give up to get there? Because you're also some part of what we want to say is your essential humanity. If you leave behind that some fiction, of like the humanness, like what are you leaving behind? Because none of the people who profit on Facebook in this movie are happy.
Well, but I think that's the thing is, Aaron Sorkin is like, technology is scary and bad. And this was made when Facebook still, like, walls were still a thing and albums were still a thing. The messages wasn't a thing. There was no live streaming. And it feels way more about a commentary of friendship and companies, because Aaron Sorkin doesn't know how to use a phone. And I don't know. Like, I don't think he had these big ideas about technology at like the micro level. Like, it was more of like our like you said, like our communication is breaking down and all that. But I don't think he had an understanding of what Silicon Valley would become. Like, the reason I like the Smapple movie more is because he understands adults and understands like why those.
Alex, what's the last shot of the movie?
The last shot of the movie is Steve Jobs going.
No, of the network boy.
Him refreshing to see if Erica, the woman that he scorned, I guess at the beginning, if she will friend him on Facebook.
Right. He in this movie, forgetting the real, I think she's a fictional construct.
She
I don't
is,
even think she's real.
which is I think that's fine.
Whatever, right? It's like
that doesn't matter.
It's just a story, right? It's not has nothing, no correspondence with the real Mark Zuckerberg. But in this movie, the character he remakes the world in his own image to get this girl. He's like, to prove his power and to prove how right he is and to get what he wants. He reshapes the entire world. And the end of the movie, it ends with him victorious, right? He kind of repels these lawsuits, and he gets the NSYNC arrested, and
NSYNC arrested. That is a true story. Sean Parker was caught like at a party, and there was cocaine there.
Oh my God, he totally called the cops.
He
totally that was totally a setup because he knew that NSYNC was out of control.
Hold on, no, he was.
He gets arrested, and it cuts to him looking at his business card that said, I don't know if it happened in real life. It happened in the movie. This is the story in the movie they're telling you. He pulls up open the business card and it says, I'm CEO, bitch. It's like, obviously he finally succeeds. He takes everything out of his way and he remakes the world in his own image, and he still can't get the one thing that he wants.
Wait, Merlin. So am I completely misreading this scene? Like I thought it's like, oh, fuck.
I don't remember. I didn't.
Why
watch
didn't
it
he go to the party?
Because he's sad and lonely, and he just realized.
No, because he knew that the cops were going to bust it.
No, he's not that self-aware.
He was sitting in the office waiting for the guy to call him, and then when he called, he immediately knew. He was like, "Well, this is going to be public, and we're going to have to remove you from the board."
He doesn't.
Do you read the movie, Merlin? Adjudicate, please.
Huh?
Adjudicate, please.
Network.
Oh, I didn't watch it to the end this time.
Oh my gosh.
You've seen the film.
Yeah.
Did Sean Parker get set up?
I don't remember what happened, but I'm persuaded by what Max says.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I've ever wanted in life.
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I keep looking at centerpieces.
Smoltz. Oh man, I'm excited for the Smolt film. That's gonna be great.
But you guys make a good case for it, and very quickly, because I do not have anywhere near anything like a strong opinion about this movie. I do think it is a good movie. I think it's just that my tastes have changed, and it's maybe not for me. And there are other Fincher movies that I now love so much more. And I enjoy Aaron Sorkin. I kid. I enjoy his stuff. It's just that those two together with this particular story, it touched my nerves a little bit. When you got other stuff to watch and this comes on, you're like, it's just not for me right now. But I think I would recommend it. I think it's a good. Well, I don't know if I'd recommend it. I wouldn't say don't watch it.
For me, it's one of those movies. If I see it on, I'll sit there and watch it until the end. It's hypnotic. Every performance in this movie is utterly perfect. And that's because I was watching some of the special features, and Fincher is that kind of filmmaker. He's that kind of like control freak technical filmmaker where he gets coverage of every shot and every performance from 50 different ways,
that's so
and then
good.
assembles a performance from its constituent parts. So he's like, let's take this syllable from this one, but use this shot, and it's fucking crazy. Like no scene in that movie was acted out in the way that you see it. It's like assembled in a laboratory to be the perfect. The perfect performance. And I don't know how I feel about that, but you don't sense it in the movie. The movie does not have a sort of mechanical feeling to it. You come away from it going, that's some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life.
Well, seeing
this
it
is
like in sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
Oh no, this is as good a chance as any also to recommend in general a YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting, and in particular the one that he does on David Fincher. I love all of his videos, but I think if you enjoy this movie, if you like David Fincher, it's in show notes. David Fincher, it's called And the Other Way Is Wrong.
I think that this. So Max, if you watched the special features, did you see the way that's all the takes of Spider-Man doing his yelling like "I was your only friend," and I just think it's a really interesting way to make a film, especially in contrast to the way other Sorkin stuff is shot, because especially The West Wing, you I don't know how many takes they've got of the 5-minute walking sequence, and certainly there's a lot of long shots in the Smapple film, and those aren't digitally reconstructed. You can just tell that they're not. And this is put together with precision. This is put together with precision, almost like it's a movie made by a machine that's I don't know, but it's not mechanical or anything. It's just perfectly done. There's maybe chamfered edges to it. Who's to say?
Can I ask a question? I heard a cough. Is Kara still there?
Kara's here.
Yeah. Have you
Well,
seen
we
the
should
Snapple
ask her what
movie?
she thinks.
It
Have you
has
seen
been
Smapple?
Several years. I just remember I really liked it. And I listen to the soundtrack constantly still.
Yeah, same.
That's all I have to say, really. It was good.
Do you? Yeah, I do remember that the King's Speech beat it for Best Picture, and I'm still a little bit salty about that. Yeah,
I love the King's Speech.
But so have you seen the Smapple movie though? I know you've seen.
No.
This. All right.
I should watch it with you, I think.
You should listen to our show, Kara. It's really good.
I don't recommend
Promise
that.
I'll start.
No.
Welcome to Powder Nation.
We'll make you a supercut.
Yeah,
Why is it called Powder Nation?
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
it's a long backstory.
Okay.
We're Cox is Cucks now.
Cox is Cox,
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah. Kara coined the term.
I
Cox is
absolutely
Cox.
coined the term.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Let's not get into it.
See, well, that's the thing though. We could get into a lawsuit over this.
Well, we're gonna have a real Winklevoss. We're gonna have a real Winklevoss
Yes.
situation on our hands here. I don't want to get into this.
You're the Eduardo Saverin in this situation.
Yeah. I was your only friend.